30 seconds.
Yes, sir. A lot. We are consumer advocates, and what that means is that we are primarily interested in protecting the interests of you and your family and empowering you with information.
20 seconds.
And the gospel. I like that. This is the gospel truth. Hey, if you like to ask me any questions, feel free to call in at 708-445-9922. This show is about you. No matter the examples that I may utilize on air, no matter the humor, no matter what is being said, no matter who may call in, no matter the conversation, I want you to find a way to make the conversation fit to you and your life, and find a way to improve, better your life. When you better your life, then you better the lives of the people around you. Then the people around you, they better the lives of their neighbors, friends, and other family members. And then it spreads like wildfire. First it starts in you, and then into the home, and then to the next door neighbor, on the block, in the community, across the world, people. That's how it goes. We are all interconnected. It's like a pebble thrown in the ocean. It starts with one little splash of a pebble, and then it just spans out into ripples and waves across the world. That's how it works. 708-445-9922. I don't want you to hold back. And if you are on social media and you have a question for me regarding anything, I know it's that time of the year when many of us, I know I do, I start to take account of the accomplishments that I have had throughout the year. You know what? Let me back up off that, because I really don't take account of the accomplishments that I've made throughout the year. My first and foremost thought is, what is it that I would like to accomplish in the year forthcoming? That's my first thought. And then at some point, I will say to myself, well, what have you accomplished throughout the year? But I must be honest. I don't take enough time, nor do I celebrate my victories. So I want to try to reverse this conversation a bit. First and foremost, people, whoever may be listening, I want you to write down what you accomplished in the year. Okay, let's do it like a class. I want you to stop and think about what you've accomplished. And I would love to hear from someone. I'd love to hear someone share with me what they've accomplished. Was it a financial goal? Was it a health goal? Was it a relationship goal? Have you done something in your business? Have you become a better person? Have you gained greater patience? You know, this year I gained a lot of patience. I've matured a lot, because there are some moments that occurred, and I can think of one right now. Something happened to me last week, and I promise you, and I don't like to say this, but I'm going to say this. You see how I sort of said it out the side of my mouth? I was like, I don't like to say this, but I'm going to say this. Something happened to me last week, and quote unquote, the old me, I would have hit the roof, and it would have gotten a little ugly, but I sucked it up and I said, you know what? Keep small people small. Listen to what I'm saying. Keep small people small, and keep small problems small. Because if you make small things big, when big things occur, or the big things that are present in your life, you won't have the energy nor the resources to deal with the big things. So a lot of us, what happens is that, and you've heard this term before, we major in the minor, and we stop our own blessings. We stop our own progress, because we're dealing with small things and small people trying to do big things or make big impact in your life. Don't let small people make major impacts in your life. Don't let small things take the major or the majority of your energy or your efforts. Let them be small. Keep it moving. So anyhow, I want you to take account. So one of the things that I gained is I gained patience, and I've gotten maturity, and I can see how my maturity, my level-headedness has paid off for me. Like I see significant gains in my life. People, hear what I'm trying to tell you. I'm not talking about, hey, you know, some people, I've had people call my office and they'll be like, Pastor Fenton. I'm like, hold up. I'm far from a pastor. But you know, I have been known to give you a sermon. So I have seen tremendous results in my life as a result of the maturity that I have gained. I haven't had it all the time, people. And this is a conscious effort for me to become a better person and to be more responsible, if you will. Not in the responsibility, not in the sense of doing what it is that I need to do or taking care of my responsibilities per se. I'm saying being responsible for my emotions, being responsible for my responses, and being responsible to make certain that I am the best me and that I do what is best, not just for me, but for the situation and for people around me. I must thank my wife for that because she's a tremendous motivator or inspiration in that. And so would be my mother, because I'm like, you know what? I can't be thrown off track, because if I get thrown off track, that's going to impact my wife. That's going to impact my mother. That's going to impact my business. I can't impact the people who work with me or for me. I can't impact those people. So, you know, in part, I'm forced to become more mature, but I welcome it. Maturity, boy, I swear. So the gains that I have, one of the gains that I've had throughout this year is in maturity. And what I've gotten from that is a tremendous sense of peace. And calm. Before, there were many things that would keep me up at night. Or even when I was asleep, I was up. And I know a lot of people can relate to that, because you may be asleep, but you're awake. Your spirit is stirred. You're not resting. You're asleep, but you're not resting. And so, like, now I'm able to rest a lot more peacefully. And in part, it's not because my circumstances have necessarily changed. It is that my perception and my approach to things, my maturity level has changed. And as a consequence of that, then other areas of my life have developed. So if I can give you something, because I was going to talk about some other stuff, which I will get to, which is also related to this, because now you're able to make mature decisions as well. So if I can give you something that quote unquote doesn't cost anything, but will give you a return on investment in the hundreds, if not in the thousands, I'm going to say to you, calm your spirit. I'm going to say to you, relax and think and breathe before you make decisions. I'm going to say to you to keep small things and people small. And don't let small people and small things live on beyond their life cycle. I'll give you one example. So something may happen small. So you're in a fast food restaurant. Here you are, you're 40. You're 45. You're 50. I like 50. Not 50. No. 50. You're 50. And you're in a fast food restaurant, or you make an order, right? And they mess up your order. You say, I want a chicken sandwich with pickles. This is my order right here. I want a chicken sandwich with pickles and lettuce and tomatoes. And I don't want any of your secret sauce. Just put me some ketchup on the side. And I'll have a large French fry and a small whatever. And I like a chocolate shake. And when you get your order, there are no pickles. There are no tomatoes. There's secret sauce all over it, right? You have a small French fry. You have a large onion ring. And your strawberry shake is now a vanilla shake, people. And guess what? You hit the roof. You're like, they messed up my order. And now you have an attitude. Not only do you complain to the manager about how they messed up your order, You get the situation rectified, then you go home and you begin, the first words out of your mouth when you see your husband, when you see your wife, is how they messed up your order at a fast food restaurant. So let's get this straight, people. First and foremost, you're 40, you're 50. What are you doing in a fast food restaurant anyway? Number one, you shouldn't have been there. So a lot of the troubles, a lot of the problems that we have are self-inflicted because we're putting ourselves in situations and in circumstances that we should not have been in the first place. What you're really mad at is that you have cultivated and nurtured an unhealthy habit in yourself, i.e., you're hanging out and you're consuming bad food at fast food restaurants and you got high blood pressure. I made all of that up, but you get my point. Are you following what I'm saying? I mean, take stock. And this is where that maturity piece comes in, man. The maturity piece comes in is because you start checking yourself when you become more mature. You're like, first off, I should have never been at the restaurant. I should have never been there in the first place. It's like in the relationship. It's like, oh my God, this relationship is horrible. And then if you really stop and think, you're really not mad at that man, sister. Come on, man. Come on, sister. You're really not mad at that man. You're mad at yourself because you allowed that man to come into your life and occupy that space in your life for that long. And you're really upset with yourself. And you project out to that brother talking about, oh, I cannot believe him. He's horrible. First and foremost, you should have never been at the fast food restaurant 40, 50 years old during the week on a Tuesday or Wednesday night. Ask yourself, why did you not cook? Why were you not at a better establishment? Number two, the 17-year-old behind the counter, the 19-year-old behind the counter. Do you really think that they had it out for you? Do you really think they intentionally messed up your order? How about have some grace for the young folk or the young person behind the counter working? Think about that one. And then number three, how long does it take you to turn around in a fast food restaurant and rectify the issue? 5 minutes. So it's 5 minutes. So you chose that. And it only takes you 5 minutes to correct it. That's number three. But here's the doozy. Here's the doozy I like to tell you about. Now, that was a small thing. An incorrect order at a fast food restaurant, people, is a small thing. But how many of us have made that small thing major? That's number one. And how many of us have projected on to the 19-year-old who did not intentionally sabotage your order? And now we want to take our dissatisfaction and our level of immaturity and we want to project it onto this 19 or 21-year-old we should be praising in the context and the grand scheme of things for having a job. How about that one? How about that one? To add insult to injury, now you want to harm someone else because of you and your lack of maturity. Listen, I'm not talking about you. I'm telling you I'm with you. Not that bad, though. I've never been one of those people. But here's the doozy. We take this small thing and then we walk through the door with our husband and our wife or our girlfriend or our boyfriend, our brother, our sister, and our mother. And the first thing out of our mouth is not how you are doing. The first thing out of our mouth is not, I'm so glad to see you. The first thing out of your mouth is not, it's good to know that you're healthy. It's not, I had a great day at work. It's not, now we have the entire evening for ourselves. The first thing out of our mouth is, you're not going to believe what happened to me. That restaurant on such and such street is so horrible and the customer service is so bad. So what we do now is we take an opportunity that existed, which was to create growth. It was an opportunity to create an atmosphere of love, to create peace. We took a small situation at a fast food restaurant, a place we should have never been, and we bring it all the way home, and then we start sharing it. We start sharing that negative spirit with the ones that we quote unquote love. So that's what you're bringing home to your husband, sister? Is that what you're bringing home? Is that what you're bringing home to your wife, brother? One of the practices I try to keep, I'm not great at it, I'm okay with it. And my wife, she's good at it, but we're not great at it. But we're good. My wife and I, we don't walk through the door and the first thing she knows, the first thing out of her mouth to me can't be, oh, there's a bill we must pay. Oh, that's the first thing out your mouth. When I walk through the door of my home and I'm looking for some peace, don't tell me about bills the first thing out of I don't walk through the door and tell my wife, oh, I'm stressed out. Let me tell you about this horrible person I don't do that. I keep it to myself. We may share in the morning after we both, like I work out, she's done what she's done, she's worked out, she's, combed her hair, she's put on her clothes, we've listened to some music. The first time you talk to your wife or your husband in the morning, in the evening, don't bring them something small, people. Don't bring your small problems home. My wife is not a depository for all of my garbage and my insecurity and my immaturity. My wife is a place of salvation. She is a beacon of peace. I don't bring her my stress. What she's to do is to give me context and a reason and an inspiration to release small things, small people, and small problems. But when you start allowing your immaturity, your insecurity to spill over into your relationships, whether it be at work or whether it be in your intimate relationships or whether it be in your familial relationships, the real problem is not what had happened was, in my example, at the fast food restaurant. The real problem is not your boss speaking to you in a way that you did not appreciate. The real problem is that we are too immature. We are too insecure oftentimes. We are too self-consumed with our small issues, with our insecurities that have gone unaddressed. And we allow that to impact our lives. So if I could give you anything, is that a song? I just made that up. If it's not a song, it should be a song. So I seek thee peace. I want you to find some peace, man. But we've got to grow up. On Facebook, I give some real hard truths. I gave one this morning and people were like, whoa. Anthony Riley was like, oh, they're not going to like you this morning, Attorney Fenton. I'm like, Anthony Riley, you think I care? Because that's small. Look, I don't concern myself with how you feel about me. Your feelings are your own. Your feelings are your own. Now, I don't intentionally go out to make a person feel a certain way other than inspired, other than motivated. But your feelings are your own. I'll say this, and this will be a great transition to the conversation that I like to have. Share the video. You can call in at 708-445-9922. I just want to know, I just want to know, can you hear me? Do you feel me? I'm telling, seriously, man. Seriously. Whoa, man. So on Facebook this morning, I wish I could read it. I wrote, paraphrasing. I said, most of us don't have financial problems. Most of us do not have financial problems. If your financial problem is that you can no longer afford your $3,000 a month mortgage, you don't have a problem. If your financial problem is that you can no longer afford your Mercedes-Benz car note of $600 or $700 a month, you do not have a problem. If your financial problem is that you can no longer afford your $5 a morning Starbucks habit, you don't have a problem. If your problem is that you can no longer afford, sisters, I'm saying it to you, Sisters, if your problem is that you can no longer afford to go to your hairdresser weekly, you do not have a financial problem. The real problem that many of us have, we have a I am spoiled problem. We have a I am self-consumed problem. We have a I'm greedy problem. We have a I want as much as my next door neighbor problem. So that would be a Jonesin problem. We have an overconsumption problem. But what many of us who claim to have a financial problem don't have is actually a financial problem. Way back when, I can remember, I was in my 20s and I was in business. I was in retail, Evergreen Plaza Mall, all that, lower level next to Carson Perry Scott, Ernest James Jewelry Store. And I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my father, and I owed my mother and my father some money. And my mother was like, "Where's my money? I want you to give me my money." And I said, "Listen, I don't have all the money right now," because they had loaned me some money. We did a real estate deal. It's all in my book. Check out my book. I said, we had done a real estate deal, and I was like, "Listen, I don't have all the money right now, but I will get you your money." And then my mother was looking at me, scowling down at me. And I said, "Listen," I said, "I may not pay exactly when I am supposed to pay, but I promise you this, I can always pay. And I make certain to always pay what I owe." I said, "I may not have the money, but I do not have a money problem." Did you all just catch that? I said, I may not have the money like right now, but I do not have a money problem. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. As long as you have food, as long as you have water, and as long as you have shelter, you don't have any financial issues. You don't have a money problem. What we have is expectation problems. What we have is we want as much as what America has told us we should have problem. 2 cars, a 4,000 square foot home, a 3-car garage, 5 TVs, cable television with 5 different movie channels. People, having those things or not having those things is not an indication of your financial well-being. It is not. It is not. I want you to shift the way that you think about money. Here's the twist to it. Here's the twist. When you get that you're not broke, even if you have $10 in the bank, when you understand that you are rich, even if you are not liquid, when you get that there is nothing wrong, there's nothing, quote unquote, that you can't do. It takes the pressure off. We placed this fictitious pressure on ourselves from a financial standpoint. We've created this story, this narrative that we're broke or that we're lacking or that we're behind. And so we act from a space of desperation. We constrict our own ability to be creative. So in fact, what happens is that we create the financial stress in our lives that before did not exist. So the real deficiency of wealth is not according to your bank account. The real deficiency of wealth is the way that you think. I'll let it sit right there. If you change the way that you think, you will change your life. And the first way I need you to change the way that you think, I need you to understand that you have everything that you need. If you can eat today, and you can drink clean water today, and if you have shelter today, then you are in fact rich. Now, you may not be rich from a dollars and cents standpoint relative to Jay-Z, but you are rich. I will give you my last point, and then I will transition, and you can call in 708-445-9922. It's a nice necklace. Look at that necklace. Sharp. 708. I have to throw this in because I saw her necklace. My wife's friend, Markeisha Washington, opened a store in Roosevelt Shopping Collection off of Roosevelt Road, Roosevelt and State. So everybody check her out. Share the video. Congratulations to her. I'll have to give her a card. I'll give a young lady a card. People, this is what I want you to get. You have everything that you need. I always remind myself of that. I constantly, when I find myself in quote unquote a crisis, when I find myself a little short, I say to myself, I have everything that I need. And even if today you can't meet the burden, if you can't meet the requirement of that creditor, understand that today is just today, but tomorrow you shall. You will be able to meet the responsibility of all your creditors. And how do I know this? Because you've done it up to this point. You have never fallen short. Your mere presence confirms my hypothesis, is that you have never fallen short. Not actually. Good morning, ma'am. How are thee? You can call in at 708-445-9922. It's 708-445-9922. I'm about to cross a bridge. Here's the bridge. Right at the 30 minutes after the hour. No news and traffic. I'm about to cross a bridge. Here's the bridge. And it's not in conflict with what I've just shared. Okay? America, in this rich nation called America, one is provided an opportunity to start anew. Hear what I'm saying to you. And it's a blessing, right? And as an American citizen, one can avail themselves to this blessing. It's called bankruptcy. Attorney Fenton just called bankruptcy a blessing. Hear what I'm trying to tell you. I just told you got to change the way that you think. See, sometimes when you think you're losing, you're actually winning. See, a lot of clients, they call me and they're like broken down. They feel defeated because they find themselves faced with having to file a bankruptcy. And I keep trying to tell them that you're not losing in this moment. In fact, you're about to win. See, a bankruptcy is not evidence of your inability to meet your burden. It's evidence of the blessings that exist in your life. And all you have to do is take it and accept your blessings and be mature enough to take your blessings and not worry about small people and small things that may tell you that you're a failure. That's all in your head. Oh, y'all didn't think I could pull it together, huh? Y'all didn't know which way I was coming. Y'all didn't know I was going to hit you like Mayweather, did you? Hold on, caller. Let's take that caller. I may forget where I stopped, people. Caller, how are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good. What's going on, attorney?
You heard me mention you, huh?
Listen, I'm just at work, and I own a marketing business, and I live at a client's place, and I just had to call in because what you're talking about is what I tell my wife and other people around all the time. We are where we are because of the decisions we make.
Yeah.
And my wife is steadily like, I want a new Lexus RX 350. I said, why? You work from home.
That's a good one right there. I like that. I like that.
Why are you needing a new Lexus? I said, listen, we make different decisions. Like we just decided to homeschool our daughter, and instead of spending the $15,000 a year in private school, we travel the country and teach her in Mexico Spanish. So I'm not doing this to it's not that we make a whole bunch of money. It's just that we made different choices, and you don't have to try to make. In order to be top 1% in this country, all you have to make is $400,000 a year.
Yeah.
And people think that you have to be 50 million and live a comfortable life.
Yeah.
Close to 6 figures, making the right decision. Man, you're talking good stuff. I just have to encourage you on that, my brother, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Hey, what you just said was powerful. It moved me. He was like, listen, he put it real simple. I have to repeat it because what he said was so critical. He said his wife wants to buy a new Lexus, right? And he's like, why? You work from home. Like, do you know how profound that is? Do you understand the mentality of us? Listen, let me tell you this story. It's related to what he just said. Right now, I am driving a 2010 Jeep Wrangler. Now, I do okay financially, right? I have driven that 2010 Jeep Wrangler I'm going on the 10th year of driving that vehicle. I have not had a car note in 8 years. I paid it off in 24 months, right? I had a 4-year or 5-year loan on it way back when, and I paid it off. I doubled up the payments. I always automate my payments like to pay double whatever it is I owe. That would include for anything, just about anything. So anyhow, now I commute to work, and my commute is pretty nice. It's like a 35 minute commute, on the expressway. And recently, and my wife, she has a nice car. And when I would drive my wife's car and I get back in my Jeep, I felt the difference. So from a physical standpoint, it became inefficient and not a smart financial decision for me to continue driving my Jeep Wrangler 2010 on a daily basis, because given my maturity level in terms of the moons that I have been here on Earth, I needed a more comfortable vehicle. It was just draining me to drive that car. So then we upgraded so that I won't be so tired, which I think then translates into better productivity from me in the office, and I'm sure of it. But listen, I drove that Jeep. I could have afforded another vehicle, of course, but I drove that Jeep probably for 5 more years. 5 more years. I've been driving it for close to 10 years. I'm not going to tell you, brother. Matter of fact, thank you for the transition. I'm not going to tell you how many people in our community, in the black and brown community, they have mortgaged their entire financial well-being over a car. I'm not going to tell you how many people come into my office telling me that they need to file a bankruptcy. And then I go through their financials with them. And what I find that is throwing them over the top is a car. So let's do some math on a car right now. I need a calculator. DJ, you have a calculator? Who can do the calculations for me?
I got a calculator for you, brother.
You have a calculator? So the average person makes about, let's say you make let's call it $50,000 a year. So if you divide 50,000, let's go 48,000. So 12 months, the average person makes $48,000 a year, right? So that would be $4,000 a month. And then if we take 25% off of that $4,000, that's $1,000 in taxes and other costs, right? And contributions. So we have about $3,000 remaining, right? And so we have an average person making $48,000, $50,000 a year. Their net from work may be $3,000. And let me tell you how many people who net $3,000 a month walk into my office with a $700, $800 a month car note. So what is that? So you 7 for 21, 28. So close to 25% of their net income is going to their car. Hold on. Go ahead.
No, I said that's not including insurance on that $700, $800 a month car.
Brother.
The insurance payment is going to be $180 to $250.
I didn't even get there yet.
That's what I tell those
I haven't even. Let me switch it. Let me switch the angles, brother. And I said I was setting them up for the insurance. So add another, I'll be nice, add another $125 for insurance because clearly this is a nice car. So now we're at $825. Now you have to put premium gas in that nice car. And my Jeep takes regular gas. No, your fancy car, it takes premium gas. So now what was $40 to fill up the tank just turned into $50 to fill up the tank. So now you're going to spend another $30, $40 a month on premium gas. And then that fancy car, you just can't take it to any mechanic. You have to take it to...
I'm with you. I'm sorry. To the dealership. And they charge you $150 just to look at it, and that's 1 hour.
So you end up spending $850 a month to drive a car for what? When you only make, quote unquote, only, relatively speaking only, $48,000 is a nice bit of money, just like the brother said, if you make good decisions. But if you do not make good decisions, let me switch this on you. I don't care if you make $150,000 a year, because you know who half the clients are who come in my office crying about being in financial distress? Doctors, lawyers, principals, making well above 6 figures, people. That was a good one. Was that a what? Let me tell you, you've heard this before, right? If I'm about to tell you this, if you're broke, making $45,000, $50,000 a year, guess what you're going to be when you make $75,000, $80,000 a year? Broke. If you're broke, making $80,000, $85,000 a year, guess what you're going to be when you make $120,000 a year? Broke. If you're broke making $120,000, this is my last example. Guess what you're going to be when you make $200,000 a year? Broke. People, your problem with money has nothing to do with how much money you make. Your problem with money has everything to do with your decision making. And that's what you don't want to hear. Because I have people who come into my office, I see it all the time. They make $40,000, $50,000 a year, and they have $70,000, $80,000 in their IRA. They have a house that's half paid for. They go out to dinner with their family. They're not in financial distress. They don't have $20,000 in credit card bills. They still dress nice, and they do drink coffee in the morning, but just not Starbucks at $5 a shot every morning. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? So please, I'm about to go there with you. Stop lying on your dollars. Stop lying on your money. Your money ain't got nothing to do with you being broke. Your mentality, the way you think, has everything to do with you being broke. Period. End of the conversation. And when you take power, when you accept that as truth, listen, I know it's true. I know it's true. I know it's true. When you take responsibility, thanks for the call. I appreciate you calling in. Yeah. When you take responsibility for it, and listen, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm not talking about everyone. This doesn't apply to everyone, but this applies to most of us. I'm not talking about the people who had a medical emergency. I'm not talking about the people who have been responsible and then something happened to your sister and then you take in her 3 children. We're not talking about those people. Those are outliers. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you, college educated, gainfully employed, been on your job for 10 years, with 1 child, married. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to me, lawyer, who's made all of this money and decided you wanted a boat. Yeah, I had the boat. I had the 34th. I still had a boat. I'm talking to you. You want to travel the world. You want to buy Gucci shoes. You want to go to the hairdresser every week. And then you want to lie on your money and act like it's your money's fault. You want to act like it's your boss's fault. Stop that. I was telling the story of, let me give you this last 15 minutes. Share the video, folks. Listen, we all have to do better. I'm part of this conversation. I know I can do better. I'm okay. I do okay. I'm rather disciplined. Now I've done some things. We've all been there. I purchased the big house. I did. I had the 4,000 square foot house. I had the drop top Corvette and the Mercedes Benz. I've had the 34-foot boat all at the same time. I've done it all. So I had the season tickets to the Bulls. I did all of that as a single man, all at the same time. I think about the money that I used to spend. I was spending $50,000, $60,000 a year. So I'm not sitting here trying to judge you on toys. I'm not judging you. I'm telling you based on experience. And I get it because we from Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. Our parents had to bootstrap their way up. So we saw how our parents worked. And so when our parents gave us the foundation and the opportunity to quote unquote do better, we thought that doing better meant stuff. So we didn't get that lesson. I understand that. But now we know. So we have to do a better job for our children. So I'm going to end the show in a minute. And if you'd like to call in, I'd like to hear from another caller. 708-445-9922. It's 708-445-9922. Or call my office, 708-991-7268. If you enjoy this broadcast, let me know that you've enjoyed it. If you're on social media, give me a little shout out, share the video, tell me what you got from it. Send me an email through my website at attorneyernestfenton.com. That's attorneyernestfenton.com. For those of you who've made some bad choices, don't come in telling me your stories, lies about how your children sent you to the poorhouse. Your children didn't do that. Don't tell those lies on your kids. Your husband didn't do that, sister. You were shopping. You had to go to the hairdresser. Your wife didn't shop you into the poorhouse, brother. You bought that car. You're a grown man. You have a water hose in the backyard, but you're the one who paid $25 to have your car washed. Me too. I'm guilty. I do it too. But sometimes I'm like, why are you paying $75 a month to have your car washed? So I may go to the car wash now maybe once a month. I'm like, that's ridiculous. You're paying $100 a month. You're a grown, capable man, and you can't wash your own car, but then you want to tell me about how you're struggling financially? Really? You want to tell me how you can't afford your child's tuition, but you spend $75 a month on washing your car, and you pay a mortgage, and you have a water hose and a driveway? You should be ashamed of yourself. Please don't tell me that story. Don't come into my office telling those lies, because I will stop you. But if you found yourself, if you made some poor decisions and you're like, you know what, Attorney Fenton, I need to do better. I need a fresh start. America is giving you a blessing. Here's the blessing. It's called a Chapter 7. You are not a failure for availing yourselves to what the law provides as your right inalienable. A Chapter 7 is a complete liquidation of responsibility from your creditors. Guess what? Your creditors have already been paid in most instances. 20%, 25%. Interest on a credit card, that's what they call usury. That's usurious. It's excessive. It should be illegal. Bernie or bust. So America said you can get a fresh start. You can file a Chapter 7, but there are criteria to Chapter 7s. What's the criteria? You can't make a certain amount of money. So as an example, if you're the only person in your household, in Illinois, as an example, you can only make $45,000 or less. If you make $45,000 or less as the only person in your household, then you qualify automatically without testing for a Chapter 7. That means if you owe credit card debt, I don't care if it's $10,000, $20,000, or $100,000 in credit card debt, you can make that credit card debt go to zero, people. Why are you stressing at night when you have this opportunity, when you have this blessing available to you? If you owe medical debt, the number one reason why people file bankruptcy is because of medical debt. That's why it's so significant the right people are in place, folks. It's a shame that we can't go to the hospital without halfway dying because we're worried about the bill. That makes absolutely no sense. So if you have medical debt, if you have credit card debt, and you're considering, hey, I need a fresh start, it's stressing me out, I can't dig myself out of this hole, then you may want to consider it. It's a chapter 7. It's no shame to that game. I know people right now, they're listening like Donald Trump filed bankruptcy. Well, not quite. Donald Trump did not file bankruptcy, people. Donald Trump's companies filed bankruptcy. Donald Trump, the individual, did not file bankruptcy. The type of bankruptcy that I'm speaking of right now is an individual bankruptcy. I'll give you another example. If you have 3 persons in your household, I believe that your household income can be as high as $75,000, $80,000 annually. So if your household income is $80,000 or less, there are 3 people, or if there are 3 people in your household, then you qualify for Chapter 7. If you are behind on your mortgage payment and you like to save your home, you're behind, let's say $20,000, you can't come up with the money. You also have credit card debt and maybe a car note or maybe a car that has been repossessed with medical debt. But if you are behind on your mortgage payment and you are considering filing a bankruptcy to save your home, then you cannot file a Chapter 7. See, I'm about to make a distinction between a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a complete liquidation. That means whatever creditors that you have can no longer come after you to collect the monies that you owe them. You can walk away from the debt. That's a Chapter 7. Even with the home. So if you have investment properties or primary residence that you no longer want to keep, we can file a Chapter 7 and you can walk away and you have a clean slate. A lot of people are thinking to themselves, well, Attorney Fenton, if I file a bankruptcy, how long will it take before my credit recovers? 1 year. Within 1 year, you'll be able to obtain credit cards. But I don't want you to have a credit card. Well, I want you to have 1 credit card. Maybe 2 credit cards. But I don't want you to have 5 credit cards. I don't know. It's not necessary. The average person should have maybe 1 or 2 credit cards with the available credit of no more than $20,000. And I'm going up to $20,000 if you're in business. So some people who are in business, they may use their credit card for business purposes. I'll take you up to $20,000 if you have children. If you have two minor children, then I want to give you a little bit more and available credit because if something happens with your child or there's a field trip or there's something, that's beneficial to your child, I want you to have available credit. So maybe I'll take you up to $20,000 for the average person, average household. Now I'm stretching. But for the most part, $5,000 or $10,000 is more than enough. Why $10,000? Because the average funeral is about $10,000. So what emergency is greater than a funeral? What emergency are you planning for that's greater than a funeral? It's about $10,000. You need a new roof on your home? $5,000, $6,500. So there's no emergency you shouldn't be able to take care of with $10,000 in credit. And I don't want you comfortable. I still want you to dig in your pocket. Okay? I want you to have an emergency fund of at least 6 months. So a Chapter 7 is a complete liquidation. A Chapter 13 is a reorganization. Oh, I like that. That rhymed. Liquidation, Chapter 7. Reorganization is a Chapter 13. With a Chapter 13, that's a repayment plan. So if you're behind on your mortgage payment, let's say $15,000, you can file a Chapter 13, and the Chapter 13 trustee provides you 36 to 60 months to pay back the $15,000. Here's another good thing about a Chapter 13. If you owe credit card debt or if there is an unsecured creditor, you can pay as little as 10 cents on the dollar in a Chapter 13 plan. So you have a Chapter 7, that's a complete liquidation, and a Chapter 13. Here's a mistake that happens in many black and brown communities. Here's the big financial mistake that many of us make. We buy a house and we place both the husband and the wife on the mortgage. And then something happens in your life and you fall behind on the mortgage payment and now both of your credit is messed up. Hear what I'm saying to you couples. Do not sign on the dotted line for a mortgage. The husband and wife should not be on the mortgage together. That is not financially sound. Why? In the great real estate market meltdown in 2008, How many husband and wife teams did I see coming into my office both financially ruined because they made the mistake of placing both of them on not just one mortgage, but on several mortgages? And why did they make that decision? Number one, they're providing misinformation. Real estate brokers, loan officers are telling people that they need to both be on the mortgage, and it is simply not true. If a real estate broker, a loan officer, or a bank tells you you and your wife or you and your husband must go on this mortgage, I'm telling you to walk out there and get 2 or 3 more opinions. Because half the time they're giving us misinformation. In the black and brown community, there's a high probability that both the husband and wife will be on the mortgage. And if you're not married, they're going to tell you that you need a cosigner on a car. And 9 out of 10 times, okay, I'll back off. 7 out of 10 times, they're lying. They're lying. They don't want to shop the loan. Or it's racially profiling. And so our communities, the black and brown communities, have been hit hardest. Because not just was one person's credit hurt, but 2 people were hurt. I've had clients who were fortunate enough to be the only ones on the mortgage. I'll give you an example. So the wife is on the mortgage, but the husband's not. They hit some financial hard times. They can no longer afford the house. Maybe they had 3 children. Their 3 children are gone. It doesn't make financial sense for them to continue to pay $4,000 a month to live in a house. They can downsize to $2,000 a month, but the house is underwater because the values in the marketplace have declined. So what do? It's called a strategic default. They can make the decision to walk away from the house, let the wife take the credit hit, but the husband's credit is still in place because the husband is not on the mortgage. So while the wife stops paying the mortgage payment, or they stop paying the mortgage payment on their primary residence, the husband can go out and purchase a home. They can move to a home paying a lot less, and they can take 1 year and recover the wife's credit. People, do you understand? That is financial planning. That is what you call winning when it appears that you're losing. If it looks like Ernest Fenton is losing, if you hear anything about Ernest Fenton is having financial problems, know that Ernest Fenton is always winning. I am always winning. If you hear about me filing a bankruptcy, you people smile for me. Because I guarantee you, if I ever file a bankruptcy, it's going to be on millions. I'm going to make money when I file my bankruptcy. In fact, 10 years ago, I'm not doing it now. Don't have people calling my office. I was planning for my bankruptcy. Do you know rich people plan for bankruptcies? Do you know major corporations plan to go out of business? Do you know when you see outside of a business, it says going out of business? If you're a smart businessman, you make the most money going out of business. If you are a smart businessman, you can make as much money or more money than you ever made in business as you file bankruptcy or prior to your filing of bankruptcy. Because if you're really on top of it, you plan your transition. And the bankruptcy and the going out of business sale is nothing more than part of your part of your strategic planning to transition people. Do you understand what I'm telling you? It's called levels to the game. Hear what I'm telling you. So I want you to change the way you think about money. I want you to change the way that you perceive failure. Understand, this is in my book. So if you haven't gotten my book, I have a chapter in my book. It's called Sometimes When You're Losing, You're Actually Winning. And then sometimes when you think you're winning, like buying that car, that $700 a month Mercedes, sometimes I have to stop saying Mercedes because it hits close to home. My wife will be listening like, why do you keep saying that? And sometimes when you think you're winning, you're actually losing. I have 1 minute. I know, DJ. I see, man. I'm a pro. You know I'm a professional. You know this. I told you just play the music and let me go. No, I'm just messing. Hey, people, share the video. I appreciate you allowing me to share, impart upon you the information that I have. Call my office at 708-991-7268 to schedule your appointment. I do home visits and hospital visits in case of an emergency. My heart is with the seniors, and I do have payment plans for the seniors who are on a fixed income. AttorneyErnestFenton.com, AttorneyErnestFenton.com. Until next time, people, I say to thee, peace. Share the video, Facebook.